It's 10:30. Actually, it's 10:31. So Bart really must have been getting revved up in the bullpen. So no, Burns right now. Burned. Bart is right now. And so, okay, I've been telling folks, Bart, that you requested time at the beginning of your segment for a rant. And so I said, okay, here's what we're going to do is that instead of building up to the rant, because, I didn't want all of that, the pent up energy and thought to distract you from the rest of the topics that we were going to be talking about. This is a rant that Bart has had on his mind. And I said, okay, so then you're going to lead off with it. And we're going to go from there. And once again, the disclaimer and the disclosure that this is Bart's rant. I don't know what it's about. I might, but I don't know what it is in its entirety. So Bart's rant starts off Bart's segment here on this Wednesday. So Bart, rant.
Well, first off, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Abby. Good morning, Jarrett. Good morning, Bart. I am very annoyed at Major League Soccer. And I think Ricky yesterday was trying to blame CONCACAF for the scheduling. And CONCACAF isn't blameless because they are late to the party, as always, when it comes to actually planning the party. But this Gold Cup schedule has been on the FIFA International Match Calendar. It is a listed tournament date on the FIFA International Match Calendar. Yet MLS decides that it is in their best interest to play through this and not just play through the tournament, right? Not just like, oh, we'll have some games. No, they are playing throughout the entire tournament on every Saturday and, by the way, on a couple of Wednesdays during the tournament. They are conflicting specifically with Gold Cup matches, which is a terrible idea to divide your viewership because I'll tell you this right now. If you've got a Mexican fan who you maybe want to get to watch MLS, they ain't watching MLS if El Tri is playing. And that is asininely stupid from Major League Soccer for a couple of reasons. One, it obviously impacts the actual quality of play that you supposedly want to increase, which I don't actually think you're interested in actually substantively increasing the quality of your play. I think you just think you are. It is stupid to play during your Continental Championship. All because you created this little Leagues Cup facade, this little farce of a tournament thing that you have just created because you needed more money and Apple needed more games on in their package. It's stupid. It is bad for the league's quality of play. It will diminish the actual value of regular season matches, which you seem to think matter because, again, Apple TV wants to have these on their station. This is such a bad idea. And I'm obviously very personally upset about it because the United States plays in Charlotte, probably one of the closer locations they're going to play in for the next, whenever, because Mercedes-Benz refuses to actually try to host soccer games involving the U.S. But they're playing this game the night that Atlanta United is also hosting an MLS game. So that's one problem. Then the frickin' semifinal. Yeah, the semifinal is on a Wednesday night. The MLS also decided to schedule midweek matches. What sense does this make, John? This is such a stupid move. And I get that, most people are probably going to watch MLS over the Gold Cup. I get this. I get it. Because you're club over country. I totally support that. The problem is you're not getting the best quality players or quality of play in those matches that you're playing during this tournament because FIFA is on the calendar. You got to release them. This is stupid. It does nothing to help grow the league. If anything, it's splitting the audience, which again is not good for your Apple MLS deal that you have somehow figured out a way to make bad before it even really got going. This is my rant. I'm sorry. It's just so idiotic because you had to do this stupid little Leagues Cup that no one actually knows what matters and cares about.
No, when you said you had a rant, that's why I wanted to reserve the time off the top and make sure that because I don't want you to internalize anything. I don't want you to keep anything in. I want you to voice what is on your mind. That's what these Wall Pass Wednesdays are for. I mean,
if you're Atlanta United, thinking about the Gold Cup, all right, you're probably going to lose Etienne for Haiti there in the Gold if they qualify through that preliminaries. You're at least losing him for the prelims. You're probably losing Miles Robinson, who is a vital player. You possibly could be losing Caleb Wiley. I mean, he's hopefully playing tonight. We'll get to that in a minute. Definitely, as Garth said, playing in the U20 World Cup. So, maybe you do Atlanta United a solid, but if he shows out well and he proves to be the only legitimate left back option behind Anthony Robinson, he's probably playing in the Gold Cup this summer. That's 3 players just off the top,
What about? You could possibly, depending on what folks look at, you could have an Andrew Gutman up for consideration. Like I said, you could have consideration.
I would like to say Andrew Gutman deserves a U.S. men's national team shot. I don't think he's getting it, but Brooks Lennon has in the past. Who knows? Maybe Brooks is called up as a right back. We got plenty of them, but who knows? It's this is going to be a problem. It really is, and it diminishes the importance of these regular season matches. It takes away from the potential that these teams can play at. Look, the performance in Columbus was terrible. We all understand this, but it was an uphill battle because of losing 7 players. 7. Ricky, I'm just giving out names. The point is, we're going to be losing players. We're losing at least 3. That's my guess. Is we're at least 2, probably 3 for the Gold Cup. And we're not going to be the only team in MLS affected by that, because a lot of teams in MLS have players from other CONCACAF countries.
So there's a lot of stuff on your mind when it comes to this, and I think that where was it in the timeline? Hang on just a second, Coco. So we don't want early season midweek games to avoid compression, but Apple wants midweek games during an international break.
Right, which again, we're continuing to play these international breaks. It's absolutely insane. It's stupid. MLS has to have a backbone when it comes to dealing with Apple, right? I understand you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, but you have to say, no, this doesn't make sense. You have to explain why it will not be a good product to show on their package.
What have you thought? Go ahead, Jared.
Oh, that's traditionally. This is the thing that I know it really pissed off people in Minnesota, for instance, was before this year. MLS would give teams options of, hey, do you want to play during the international window, or do you not want to be scheduled and possibly do compression later? And Minnesota consistently played during the window and pissed their fans off because they'd be missing people. Pissed off a number of bloggers up there I know as well. But yeah, it's just it's weird how we went from that now to, as you raise the profile of the league, as you bring in more players, you're going to have more guys missing. And we've talked ad nauseum about, you need to increase the quality of depth in the league. And if that's increased spending, if that's having more resources, you need to have more depth because of what you're putting these guys through in terms of the schedule compression. Yeah, adding the international window adds another element to that need to push depth.
Right, and that's going to be the issue. Look, if Miles Robinson goes to the Gold Cup, which I think is a very likely thing to happen because of where he stands in the center back depth chart, yeah, Atlanta United will probably be okay with Juanjo Parada and
Noah Cobb.
Luis Abram. Okay. Because there won't be other. This is just the Gold Cup window specifically, right? This isn't I think someone was talking about other teams. No, this is the Gold Cup window.
Yeah.
The other FIFA international window is in June, which we are breaking for because Continental the Nations League is that. But yeah, look, sure. No, I don't think, John, I don't think we'll be fine with Noah Cobb. Sorry, I'm on the Noah Cobb will be good train, but not that train has not left the station yet. It's probably going to be Juanjo and Luis. Like that's fine. You'll probably be just fine with them for a couple of matches. But that does diminish the quality that your team's going to play at. If Caleb Wiley isn't there, then you're at Derek Etienne isn't there specifically, who again will be with Haiti. Like that's a problem. I mean, what if, I don't know what the whole roster is, but I mean, we have Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Curacao. Like we have a lot of players in this league that play Jamaica that play for other teams.
Yeah. I mean, Rich could be without Andre Blake as an example.
Right. So it's not good for the players. It's not good for the overall competition of the league. And it just continues to make MLS look like an unserious league.
How long have you been trying to how long have you been thinking about this particular rant of yours? How long have you been thinking this through?
Well, it comes up every single time that we have a Gold Cup because MLS does try to play through it, but they usually take a slight break. And this time they're just not because of Leagues Cup. So that's the problem with this year is that you have done this stupid little Leagues Cup thing. I'm sorry. I'm not on board with the Leagues Cup. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm not on board with it. I think it is a bigger cash grab than El Cachico that's going on tonight. Like the only purpose is because you were trying to lure a big, which fine. You got the big fish with Apple TV. I get it. I'm a proponent of Apple TV as an idea, but the fact that you're having to bend over backwards, create new competitions, change your playoff structure, all these things, just because Apple is mad that you don't have enough games or whatever, that's on you for not explaining to these things and having a little bit of a spine to stand up to them.
And Rich reminds us that he has no Blake Lowe or Flock in that window for Gold Cup.
Yeah, well, every team
for
but
a Philly
Philadelphia
team that needs if a Philly team that needs everybody right now, because we talked about this last week, but and I get that Philly is balancing, they're balancing CONCACAF Champions League, but I mean, it's been bad for the most part in league. And we talked about this yesterday, that you don't want to build too big of a hole for yourself. You don't want to be in a position where you're having to win every week.
Yeah. And Rich is also asking about a U20. Isn't the U20?
No, the U20 is in May.
Okay.
The U20 is in May. So you have U20s in May.
Mm-hmm.
You have Nations League in June, and then Gold Cup June at the end of June through July. So, I understand there's a scheduling compression. I'm glad that CONCACAF did move the Nations League final to March because hopefully that will remove this conflict in the future. CONCACAF is not blameless here because they also added the stupid Leagues Cup, which is, I would rather it just be a Final Four of all of us. Again, Bern, I don't care that Philly gets hit hard because I think Philly deserves all the pain that they get, the pain and suffering they bring on.
I knew that was coming.
Putting on the Atlanta fan hat for a second.
There's got to be a time, Rich, when you come to Atlanta, it's for Philadelphia and Atlanta, where we have to have a breaking of the bread with all of us and you coming to Atlanta. So
Rich, it's your coach. That's the problem.
Yeah, we got it.
Coach wants us to check driver's license like Florida wants to check genitalia. I mean, this is the problem here is, you say these things, your coach says these things and doesn't expect the smoke back. He doesn't like it.
Well, and we got into this and I once again, and I don't know if Rich caught this earlier in the week, so I'll do a shorter version. When it comes to Philadelphia, Rich, I respect that you're sticking to your plan. You have a plan, you're sticking to it. That's your style. I get it. I don't like it, but I get that that's what you've done to be successful. Yeah, exactly. Use what works. I completely and totally agree. And you have done that in Philadelphia as a franchise. I don't like the way you do it. I have issues with the physicality of your players. And then all of a sudden, when your players turn from defense to offense, they seem to go down very easily. But I get it. That's part of the DNA that's worked on at camp. And by the way, congratulations on breaking the $55 million, the ground on the $55 million training facility. Very cool. And I'm not the only one here, but frankly, I'm glad that your coach got a yellow card for monkeying with the game again and taking balls away from players. He should have gotten one here in Atlanta when he took the ball away and reached over Caleb Wiley to grab the soccer ball away from him and be all, cute and CONCACAF-y and, hey, look at me and look what I'm doing. But I'm glad Ismail Elfath did what he did and gave your coach a card.
Yeah.
Because you cannot, Bart, have that kind of impact on a game the way that Jim Curtin does. But once again, well, and then if he didn't get the yellow for fiddling with the ball and the throw in, he needed one. But I'm, like I said, I do not like the shenanigans that your coach pulls on the touchline. Like I said, I fully respect what Philadelphia does as a team. I get it. I don't like it. I understand it. Do what you do to make you and you work. That's great. I mean, I get it. I understand it. I don't like your shenanigans. But the fact that finally Jim Curtin, I thought that Jim got the yellow for pulling the ball away from over the top. And once again, just tossing the ball back into play. I thought that was why he got the yellow. But, I mean, Bart, referee time.
Yeah, let's shift to referee time. We can stop hating on Philly for a second.
Well, but I mean, it's part of a larger picture. I think that when you have athletes and coaches that that once again they go right up to that edge. They find out where that edge is. But I think that makes it even more incumbent upon referees and ARs to be more vigilant when it comes to the enforcement of the rules of the game. And if it means you don't want to do this, but if it means, going blackjack dealer in the 5th minute over a rough foul, then that's something that you've got to do. I mean, how difficult is it for referees, and I don't know if you guys have these conversations, about teams that play differently than everybody else? The 4-4-2 diamond, he's the only one that does it. It's like playing the triple option in college football, which apparently you can't do that anymore because of cut blocking. What's it like going up, seeing an animal that is different and trying to navigate that as a part of a larger process? What's that like for refs trying to manage a different situation than others that you face?
Yeah, I think especially at the higher levels, I know for a fact that they do scout these teams, right? They're not just going in blind. There is a level of, it's not quite obviously the same as like a coach scouting a team, but they'll watch. They know referees talk. I mean, that is the benefit of the pro setup, right? Where you do have a collective resource. And I know everyone hates pro, but
But what else? But what else do you have? It's
right. Well, for that, but this is the benefit of having a professional referees organization for that league, is that there are conversations, there's data, there's there's information shared between referees, and just overall directives. Maybe not like, oh, you have to do this, but hey. We saw it with the Red Bulls match, right? Like they play a very different style of game than we do. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia plays a different style of game. You do come into the game with being prepared for. You should anyway come into the game being prepared with how a team is going to play.
Right.
Even at the grassroots level where I'm at, we understand that certain levels of play, right? So like, if I'm refereeing an SECL match, that is going to be very different than when I'm refereeing my ECNL or ERNL matches, right? Like there are levels. So you are aware that there are different styles of play at those levels. You understand that there are different types of players at those levels. The goal is, as always, is to create a safe and fair environment in which to play the sport.
Mhm.
And so to talk about what Jim did, that is infringing upon our ability to play a fair soccer game. It's almost infringing upon the ability to play a safe soccer game, because when a coach comes from a sideline and kind of gets involved like that, that's a problem.
Yeah.
It could be a safety problem, but it's definitely this is not allowing us to play a fair game anymore. And fair is a subjective word. It is a loose term as well, but for the most part, we want to let the play of the players decide the match and the outcome. And that includes playing the game in a fair and honest way. And, I think that's where you and I get frustrated with teams like Philadelphia, like Red Bulls. A lot of the CONCACAF teams, when we talk about CONCACAFery,
Yes.
It oftentimes goes beyond just playing a soccer game.
Jarrett, what's on your mind during ref time with Bart before we get into the men's national team and the Continental Classico presented by insert sponsor here?
Yeah, I mean, it's even coming into this game, and I would ask you from a refereeing perspective about a game like Chicago coming up, where they're a team that obviously they're not playing that same level of ishhousery, but they're a team that really kind of flows, but you can break them up. And I think we saw with Philly, like once Philly was able to kind of break up their rhythm in the second half,
Yeah,
you kind of knock them off their horse a bit. I mean, how are you looking at it from a referee perspective? If Atlanta, and like we talked about this yesterday, Atlanta's physical with teams. I thought that if they had 11 fouls against Toronto, Atlanta will get physical with you, especially if Ibarra's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build that? How do you build that line from a referee perspective, knowing you got two teams that are probably going to want to play? How do you develop that line of here's where a card is, here's what a foul is, that sort of thing, and communicate it to them when, you might end up in a game where people want to break up the flow.
Yeah, so I think you have to have your line kind of set before you enter the game. And a lot of that is, again, the directive from MLS and Pro of like, these are things that we don't want or we are okay with. But you have to figure out what that line is, as you said. And sometimes it's noticing from the beginning, like, oh my goodness, he did the thing that we're really not supposed to do. It may not be worthy of a card at that point in time, but you're more than empowered by the laws of the game and by most of these leagues to issue grand cautions to the team as a whole, both teams as a whole. Even we've seen referees kind of point to call a foul, have a conversation with the player, but oftentimes those big grand gestures of like the waving the arms and above our head or anything, those are signals to both teams, all the players as a whole, of like, this is not acceptable. We don't need to go beyond this. And then obviously you have your yellow card or red card if it does go beyond that. But it's taking that opportunity in the middle of the match or at the beginning of the match to make a big deal out of what might not be seen as a serious foul, but as one of those fouls that, as you said, is designed to break up the flow of play. Or if it's, hey, the first foul was fine, but we've had 3 fouls in 15 minutes. What's going on here? Those are things that you have to look for and that you need to be proactive in addressing, because to your point, Philly fouls, for the purpose of stopping play no matter what. But Atlanta United, I think our fouls often come from not wanting to get a lot of our fouls come from that transition between offense and defense, where maybe we lose a ball or we're a little stretched out defensively because we have been attacking. And so the foul is tactical. A lot of fouls are tactical, especially at the professional level. So just recognizing that, making sure that both teams are aware, like there's a line. We've either gotten to that line or we're about to cross it or we have crossed it. Just being aware.
Speaking of crossing a line, you mentioned that an 11-year-old cussed at your last match.
Oh my goodness. He had listen, now I'm laughing about it, but in the moment it was not good. So actually it was funny. The Caleb Cook, who I do the SoccerForUS pod with a lot, he was coaching the other team, and there was an attack, and his striker was running down, into the box toward the penalty spot. He had another attacker on the wing about to cross the ball in, and the defender just ran over the kid, ran over him from behind, tripped, charged, everything. It was clumsy, but it's a foul, it's a penalty kick. So I called the penalty kick, and explicit warning, by the way, this is your FCC.
There we go. The explicit warning is now up. Okay, go for it.
The kid, and this is a U11 game, who fouls him, stands over him, looks down and says, "Get your pussy ass up."
Wow.
And so he was given a red card immediately.
Wow.
The coach was really upset that I gave the kid a red card because now he's going to have to miss games. I was just like, we can't say that, coach. Those are 2 words we can't say. He didn't just say 1. He did 2. And, the kid apologized at halftime. I was like, I understand, buddy, but you got to, still sit out the rest of the game. And the coach is like, well, am I going to lose him for more? And he said multiple cuss words. It's not like he had a bad foul. He did a thing that an 11-year-old alone shouldn't do. But that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable at Major League Soccer levels. You can't stand over an opponent and say that.
Wow. And then Rich and Coco basically say that it's a taught phrase. That taught. TAUGHT. That is taught.
He definitely learned it from somewhere. I don't know if the kid has older siblings that maybe taught him that. It's possible that he learned it playing too much Minecraft or Fortnite or whatever the kids are playing right now. But yeah, it's that was a. I am laughing about it now because I was like, he used those words very well. He earned every bit of that red card. His team ended up winning, so that but 9v9 at U11 is really not that hard to respond to a red card. It's fun.
Yeah, and the other thing that's going on is Anthony Hudson, the substitute teacher, gets match number 5 as interim coach. 2 friendlies, 2-1 loss to Serbia, goalless draw with Colombia, 2 Nations League matches, wins over Grenada and El Salvador, coached twice against Mexico while head coach of New Zealand back in 2014 after coaching Bahrain's national team in U23s. El Tri beat New Zealand 2-1. Gio dos Santos, Marco Fabian, 1-1 tie with the Clinzies USA squad. Monty Patterson, a 72nd minute goal, equalized Julian Green. So once again, the substitute teacher gets another bet.
Yeah, I think Hudson has actually done a pretty good job of, as you said, being the substitute teacher, right? He's kept he's followed the lesson plan, but understood that hey, I don't really have any real authority to make you do this, but hey, let's try to get through our multiplication tables today type of thing.
Yes.
Kept it positive, kept it positive, but also kept the goals in place. There obviously that March window, we had goals. The goal was to qualify for the Nations League finals. And, the fact that we won both of those matches was pretty impressive. We haven't done that in a while. We all saw how much we struggled on the road in CONCACAF qualifying. I understand that Grenada is not a tough team, but we looked very good in that game. We struggled against El Salvador, and that's why I was very glad they did not get drawn into our Gold Cup group because they just seem to be the boogeyman team for us. We haven't lost to them, but they just seem to always play us tough. Hudson's done fine in his role. I don't think he's done anything that shows that he should be a full-time coach, and that just needs to be kind of the framework. But, you got the substitute coach, you got the interim coach in a non-FIFA window cash grab friendly tonight. So this game might be 0-0. It might be 5-5. We will see.
Jared Smith for Bart Keeler. Go for it.
Bart, I have a question for you, and it might take you a minute to answer it. How would you fix the LA Galaxy?
Hire Greg Berhalter.
Oh, man, I don't know if he'd take the job.
No, I would not. Jared, I don't know because they seem to be in that same boat as Chelsea a little bit where it's like you have too many good players to be this bad. And you have coaches who are not idiots. Greg Vanney is not an idiot.
Agreed.
I think that's why I'm confused,
Yep.
because as much as Frank Lampard is probably not he's not a bad coach. Like the man knows the game. Greg Vanny is a good coach. I don't understand. And you can blame it on Chicharito not being there, but like that wasn't the reason they were bad. You got Caceres getting a red card for touching an official in the V. Like it's things like that where you go,
bruh,
how do you fix that? Like what in the water at Dignity Health Sports Park is causing this level of stupid? Like maybe that's what it is. Maybe you need to test the water. There might be some mercury in there. I don't know.
I mean, it's, and there was a thought earlier in the Twitch pitch that does Klein fire Vanny to try to win the fans back?
I don't think that's going to work the way he thinks it will.
No. I think they're mad at Klein, and Klein's the one who needs to go.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got you have a trade embargo, a transfer embargo. You had a big fine. You brought in Douglas Costa. So yeah. I mean, that's
so. So what if you go get 3G? Would you consider giving him a deal similar, not exact to, but in the ballpark of what Vermes has in Kansas City, where you let him make not just coaching decisions, but personnel decisions, and let him build it in the way he wants?
I don't know, because I don't love that setup, but I think Berhalter is a smart enough man and a smart enough coach and understands the league well enough to take that on. But like that's kind of the problem right now is Vanny is in that situation as well, right? I don't know if that would be the solution. I do think finding an actual like experienced sporting director like chief soccer officer might be a good idea for them. But yeah, I just don't see the actual personnel as the cause behind these issues. Just something there isn't working. I think though Klein is the one that needs to go. I really do.
Well, I mean, Klein says that if they don't make the playoffs, that he's out at the end of the year, and a lot of folks who are fans that
9 teams are going to make the playoffs in the West. It's not a big bar, but he still might not clear it.
And Emilio says, "What's the chance Vanny stays and just Klein gets sacked, and then Vanny doing both?"
I think that's very likely. Honestly, I think that is very likely that Klein gets sacked and Vanny stays, because again, as was pointed out in the chat, I don't think Vanny is the problem. I really don't.
And I mean, you're looking at Vanny and Vermes too. And
I agree completely. It's to your point, you just said, we've seen Vanny in Toronto do some damn good work. And look, Toronto wasn't like a powerhouse. Toronto was a laughingstock for years.
Mm-hmm. They were.
So we know he's had experience doing this.
Yeah, and it's just what you wonder about the level of patience. I mean, what did you say, Jarrett, that they have Sporting has just as many red cards as goals scored this year?
Yeah, Sporting has earned 2 red cards and they've scored 2 goals.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at 2 of the Blue Bloods.
So I need Chris Penso to do the game this Sunday and to send somebody off just so we can unbalance that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff right now that's a mess. So Bart, last question for you. Where is your concernometer, considering the match that's coming up in a week involving Arsenal and Manchester City that's going to be on Peacock instead of...
I'm not concerned about that match. I'm concerned about the match this weekend, because if we win this weekend...
7 points.
Right. We have... Yes, Abby, you can wear pajamas to the bar tonight if you want to come watch the USA-Mexico match. I highly encourage that. We missed 2 golden opportunities.
Yes, you did.
And that part is really frustrating because, granted, you played Liverpool at home. They're a different team at home than they are on the road. We understand this. That's a bad result because you were up 2-0. It's not a bad result getting a point at Liverpool. Coming from behind, letting West Ham come from behind on you is, especially when you had a chance to go up 3-1, is a problem. And this is where the mentality questions are now becoming legitimate, right? You got a chance to reset, rebound, and get 7 points clear on Saturday. Did we play Saturday or Sunday? Saturday.
Yeah, this weekend. How about that?
This weekend, yeah. If you're 7 points clear, and even if it's not 7 points fully, but you maintain the 4 point, just win this weekend, it makes the pressure on the match in the midweek less. That said, you go into that match going, look, a draw at City, it doesn't seal up the title by any stretch, but that really does stunt any momentum that they have to try to catch you. And so that's kind of where we're at is, go get your draw at City, and everything else will probably take care of itself.
What is the mug this morning, by the way?
It's, when I'm at work, I'm in the office this morning, and it's my mug that says "Be kind" with 2 little B's on it.
Ah, yes.
Yes. Be kind.
Yes. All right. So, Bern, congratulations to Arsenal women selling 42,000 so far for the Wolfsburg match. I hope they make it to the final against Barcelona. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we've got a tough one against Bayern. Like that's a tough draw, but I think we played both matches against Wolfsburg incredibly well, despite losing some. I mean, we're still out Mead and Miedema, and in the semifinals of the Women's Champions League, we lost. Who did we just lose this week? Little. We lost another player this way. I forget. There's like a million injuries over there at the Arsenal, the Colney training ground. We have played very well. Jonas, his style is starting to translate, kind of permeate throughout the whole team, because even our backups are playing well. We just got to score. That was our struggle against Wolfsburg on the road, as we kind of. Sorry, it is Wolfsburg. You're right. We beat Bayern. It's Wolfsburg. Anyway, we played 2 really good games in the quarterfinals. We got a chance in the semifinals. The goal is if you score with all the possession, because that's been the hallmark of Arsenal teams for 2 decades, it seems like. All this possession, no scoring, both men's and women's. That's the goal, right? Go get your goals when you are dominating possession. We talk about that with Atlanta United all the time, right? You have to capitalize on the match control.
I'm taking crazy pills. This is a conversation we've literally had every week here in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah. It's but Jared, that's like the key to soccer, right? Is when you're in control of the match, you have to capitalize. Yeah, it is Wolfsburg, Bern. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's also this whole thing of understanding that some teams like to control the match with the ball, some teams like to control the match without the ball, and both are okay.
Yes.
It's okay to have different philosophies.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There's a piece of European news that Rich Ransom, one of our intrepid Twitter followers of Twitter. There's a difference between Twitter followers and followers on Twitter. He and Ricky are like our de facto producers when it comes to this. Yeah, this kind of stuff. So guess what?
What?
Well, I mean, it'd help if I actually had the music back to the level that it's supposed to be.
Soccer is maintaining its handsomeness. That's what's going on, Jared.
That is exactly what's going on. Olivier Giroud is not coming to Major League Soccer. Olivier Giroud is staying in Europe. So much for Olivier Giroud and Inter Miami.
I have been calling for years for Olivier Giroud to go to Montreal. It now would not be the time.
No.
As Dwayne talked about up in Toronto.
No.
And I don't think he was out of line, and I think he was trying to stress he's not trying to be a hot take artist. That very well might be the worst Canadian MLS team.
Oh my God,
we've ever seen, the one in Montreal right now.
Yes,
but
we have bad Toronto teams that we might be.
We did, about. Man, that Montreal team lost everybody worth a damn, not named Victor Wanyama last year,
True.
and now they have Hernan Losada, who didn't work in DC and is not working in Montreal.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Sure, we'll hire him. Yeah.
Any other year, like, just send put Olivier Giroux in some of those Montreal teams in the city of Montreal, and the man would have been a god.
Yep. Giroux signing an extension with Milan until June of 24, making close to €3.5 million net per season.
So we're not getting him as the backup for Yorgos.
No, he is on, and
this team can't be that handsome. It's not allowed.
we
listen, can't be that ruggishly beautiful.
I'm all for increasing the handsome quotient. I think that's there are lots of ways to win a soccer game. Scoring more goals is one of them.
Yes.
Being handsome is also one.
Yes. Says that Women's Champions League final should be two-leg affairs in Europe. Totally agree. I'm for it. Can you imagine a home and away at a sold-out Emirates and a Camp Nou? That would be fantastic.
The only reason I say that, and this is one of those, I kind of agree with Byrne, is like I think the women's game isn't quite to the level where selling out a neutral site is like, or a one-legged affair is the best option. I think giving both teams a chance to host it would do a lot better. Would be a lot better for the overall women's game.
Yeah,
but
completely agree.
I do like that it gets treated like a final.
Yes. Let's see. Amelia was wondering about George Campbell's injury. Picked up an injury in the preseason, according to Sportsnet. No real details on it. So, preseason injury for George Campbell. So that's why he is not getting reps right now in Montreal. And Ricky, who is dropped back in, says, have you seen a caretaker situation to be this strangely bad like Chelsea? It's been bad.
Chelsea's bad.
Hell.
It's been bad. It's been bad, Jerry. Bad. And you have an owner who decides to yell at his team before this match that was played yesterday that they also lost 2-0. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go in and yell at the team. Like I said, it was very George Steinbrenner-y. And so I don't know if that makes Frank Lampard Billy Martin yet, considering he's been hired and fired and hired and fired. But, it's been pretty bad. It is. Yeah, no wins in 7. So, yeah, it's pretty bad.
I think that happened with that. I think that's happened now with Steve Clifford on the Charlotte Hornets. They fired him and rehired him.
Yes.
I mean, granted, the Hornets are just kind of stuck in mediocrity, so
that's true.
But
maybe Chelsea should hire Nate McMillan and get that bump for half a season.
The fact that Jalen Johnson was not earning minutes with this Hawks team under Nate should have him barred from coaching for at least 2 years.
Yeah. Viewing habits tonight. BN and Espanyol have Copa Libertadores at 6, 8, and 10. River Plate is at 8. Barcelona Bolivar is at 10. NWSL Challenge Cup 7:30 and 10. TBS Telemundo has USA Mexico as well as Universo. ESPN Plus has the championship at 3. Has USL League One in the midweek at 7 and 7:30. HBO Max also has USA and Mexico. Champions League is on Paramount Plus. NWSL Challenge Cup 3 matches 7, 7:30 and 10. VIX and VIX Plus have Inter Benfica, Bayern Munich, and Manchester City at 3 o'clock. So very, very busy day for stuff to watch. Bart, we also got into the continued production issues with NWSL. And apparently the first 40 minutes of the Washington match were not seen by anybody. No one.
Yeah. Ugh. I mean, look, that's going to be the issue you're going to run into with streaming, unfortunately, right? That is... It's unavoidable. It truly is. I hate it. It's not excusable, but it's one of those things that's going to happen. It just cannot be that long. It just can't.
Well, and it's a systemic thing, it seems like, with the NWSL. But Jared also made the point that Vista Worldwide might have been underwater with what's going on in Fort Lauderdale. So who knows? But I mean, it's something that sadly seems to be happening more with the NWSL than a lot of other places.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, yeah, I'm glad they got to Paramount because I think it was a worthwhile move at the time. You just have to put pressure on Paramount to not just pay more, but actually put more into the streaming production. That's where I'm at with that.
What else is on your mind before we go?
I'm playing in the ATL Nations Cup this Saturday for Soccer in the Streets. In my opinion, a very worthwhile organization that does a lot of good in the city. If you want to come to Silverbacks Park and just support the players playing in this or support the organization, we'll be there from about 10 until 3. Pray for all of us to come out with all bones, joints, and muscles intact.
Yes, that would definitely be definitely very, very cool. The new episode for the SoccerForUS POD is out. You can get that on the network. He is at Bartimus Prime 19 and at SoccerForUS on the Twitters. Jared apparently had to dump out and let the real world take over, and I imagine you have to do the same because that's why you're hiding. You're actually in your office this morning.
Yes, yes, I do soon. So I will say mucha plata, y'all.